There is a particular kind of person you've encountered in your life, maybe only once. Maybe you can barely articulate what made them different, but you felt it. Something in their presence was fundamentally unmoved. Not cold, not disconnected, not performing stoicism for an audience. Just still. Genuinely, deeply still. While everything around them shifted and cracked and demanded reaction, they remained like bedrock beneath a turbulent sea. The world sent its storms, and they simply watched. What you witnessed wasn't luck. It wasn't an absence of feeling. It was the result of the most profound psychological transformation a human being can undergo, the complete dissolution of the reactive self. And understanding how it happens will permanently alter the way you see yourself, other people, and the invisible architecture of your inner life. Carl Jung spent decades studying what he called the shadow, the vast subterranean region of the psyche where we exile everything we cannot bear to see in ourselves, our fears, our shames, our unresolved wounds, the parts of us that were once met with rejection, and so we buried them so deeply we forgot they existed at all. But buried things don't stay buried. They migrate, they resurface, not as memories, but as reactions. This is the mechanism most people never discover. When someone insults you and you feel a flash of rage, that rage is not about them. When someone ignores you and a slow ache spreads through your chest, that ache is not about them. When a plan falls apart and panic grips your throat before you've even had time to think, that panic is not about the plan. Every emotional reaction you have is a precise diagnostic tool. It is your unconscious mind pointing a shaking finger at something unresolved within you, something unintegrated, something still raw and unprocessed beneath the surface of your conscious identity. Carl Jung said it plainly: everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But most people invert this completely. They spend their lives pointing outward, cataloging the failures of other people and the cruelty of circumstances, while the interior landscape, the only landscape they actually have any jurisdiction over, remains entirely unmapped, entirely wild, entirely in control of them. Here is the brutal psychological truth. Nothing can attach to you unless there is something inside you for it to attach to. If an insult lands, if it stings, if it lingers, if you replay it at 2 a.m., it's not because the person who said it has power over you. It's because some part of you already believes it might be true. If being ignored destroys your afternoon, it's not because the other person is cruel. It's because your nervous system was already primed for abandonment. Somewhere in your history, love felt conditional, and that old wound is still open, still waiting to be touched. Two people can receive the identical criticism from the identical person in the identical moment, and one walks away unbothered, while the other carries it for years. The external event is constant. The internal landscape is everything. This is not just philosophy. This is measurable, reproducible neuroscience. The brain is a prediction machine. It does not perceive the present moment directly. It generates a model of the present based on the accumulated data of your past. Every experience you've had, every wound, every pattern of relationship, every moment of humiliation or belonging or danger has been encoded into neural architecture that now runs automatically beneath conscious awareness, shaping your perception before you even know you're perceiving. This is why emotional reactivity feels so immediate, so involuntary, because it largely is. The amygdala, your brain's threat detection system, processes incoming information faster than the prefrontal cortex can assess it. By the time your conscious mind has formed a thought about what's happening, your body is already in a threat response. Heart rate elevated, muscles primed, the entire organism mobilized for a danger that may exist only in the story your nervous system is telling. The people who appear unshakable have not bypassed this system. They have trained it. Through years of deliberate self-observation, of sitting with discomfort rather than fleeing it, of returning again and again to the moment before reaction, they have built new neural pathways that introduce a gap, a fraction of a second of awareness between stimulus and response. And in that fraction of a second lives the entirety of human freedom. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps and went on to found logotherapy, identified this gap as the foundational axis of human dignity. Between stimulus and response lies the power to choose our response. In that choice lies our growth and our freedom. He didn't discover this in a philosophy book. He discovered it in conditions designed to strip every freedom away. And even there, especially there, the inner life remained sovereign. Most people structure their entire psychological life around a single desperate project, controlling the external world so they never have to feel unsafe. They need people to like them, because if people like them, the wound that says I am unworthy stays quiet. They need outcomes to go their way, because if they do, the terror that says I am not capable stays buried. They need life to be predictable, because unpredictability threatens the fragile identity they've constructed, the story they tell themselves about who they are and what they deserve. And so they grip, they manage, they perform. They monitor other people's moods like meteorologists watching for storms. They run exhausting calculations about what to say, how to act, what to hide, what to project, all in service of keeping the external world stable enough that their internal world doesn't collapse. The psychological term for this is external locus of control, the unconscious belief that your emotional state is determined by outside forces. And the research on this is unambiguous. People who operate from an external locus of control report significantly higher rates of anxiety, depression, helplessness, and chronic stress because the world never cooperates. The world is chaotic, indifferent, and non-negotiable. And every time it fails to perform according to your psychological requirements, you experience it not as the ordinary friction of existence, but as a personal betrayal. Here is the devastating paradox. The more you need to control something, the more it controls you. The moment you need someone's approval, that person owns a piece of your peace. The moment you need a situation to unfold a certain way, that situation holds your nervous system hostage. The moment you make your sense of safety contingent on something external, a person, a position, a validation, you have handed the most intimate and irreplaceable thing you possess to something that was never designed to hold it. And the inverse is equally true. The moment you genuinely release the need, not as performance, not as suppression, but as actual psychological integration, something that feels almost miraculous occurs. You become, for the first time, truly free. Not free from difficulty, not free from pain, free from the tyranny of needing things to be other than they are.
Jung's concept of shadow integration is perhaps the most psychologically demanding practice available to a human being and the most transformative. Most people, when they encounter an emotional trigger, move reflexively to one of two responses. They either act out, they express the emotion reactively, often destructively, or they suppress, they push it down, deny it, build a wall around it, and call the wall strength. Both strategies fail, because the emotion doesn't disappear, it calcifies, it goes underground, and underground it gains a different kind of power, the power of the unexamined, the power of the thing you're too afraid to look at directly. Shadow integration requires a third path. It requires you to turn toward the trigger, to get curious rather than reactive, to ask in the moment of emotional charge, what part of me is being exposed right now? Not what is this person doing to me, not how do I make this feeling stop, but what is this feeling for? What unresolved truth is this emotion pointing at inside me? This is psychologically uncomfortable in a way that is difficult to overstate, because what you find when you look, really look, is usually not flattering. You find fear masquerading as anger. You find grief wearing the costume of resentment. You find deep needs for love and belonging that you've been attempting to meet through control and performance for decades. But the finding is also liberation, because once you see something clearly, once you drag it from the unconscious into conscious awareness, it loses its grip on you. It can no longer operate from the shadows. It can no longer hijack your responses without your knowledge. You have made the unconscious conscious, and in doing so, as Jung promised, you stop calling it fate. There is a profound misunderstanding about what it means to be psychologically unshakable. Most people imagine it as a kind of emotional armor, a coldness, a detachment, a retreat from feeling. They imagine the unshakable person as someone who simply doesn't care. This is exactly wrong. The psychologically integrated person feels more, not less. They have simply stopped confusing feeling with being controlled by feeling. They understand at a cellular level that they are not the emotion. They are the awareness within which the emotion arises. They are the sky, not the weather. In Zen, this is called mushin, no mind, not the absence of thought, but the absence of attachment to thought. The thought arises, it passes, the awareness remains undisturbed. In Western psychology, the closest analog is what Daniel Siegel calls mind sight, the capacity to observe your own mental states without being swept away by them. When someone challenges this person, insults them, manipulates them, tries to destabilize them, the provocation finds no purchase, not because nothing lands, but because nothing sticks. The trigger is felt, examined, understood, and released, all in real time, all without the behavioral explosion or the internal collapse that signals a system still at the mercy of its wounds. This is what it looks like to have done the work, not the performance of peace, but genuine peace, not the suppression of reaction, but the integration of it. Here is what changes when you commit to this path. You stop needing the external world to be other than it is, and paradoxically, you begin to influence it more effectively than you ever could through force. Because regulated people regulate other people. Calm is contagious. Presence is magnetic. The person who cannot be rattled, manipulated, or destabilized by social pressure occupies an entirely different psychological position than the person whose peace depends on how others behave. You stop interpreting every difficulty as a threat and begin to experience it as information. Every setback becomes a question rather than a verdict. Every conflict becomes a mirror rather than an attack. Every moment of discomfort becomes an invitation to discover something about yourself that you hadn't known before. You stop living at the mercy of other people's moods, opinions, and choices, not through indifference, but through the kind of deep security that comes from having met yourself honestly and decided that what you found was enough. This is what psychologists call unconditional positive self-regard. Not narcissism, not the absence of self-awareness, but a fundamental acceptance of your humanity that does not require external confirmation to remain intact. You realize, finally, that the chase was never for the things you thought you were chasing. It was always for this, the feeling of being enough exactly as you are in exactly this moment, regardless of what the world delivers. And once you find that internally, once you stop outsourcing your sense of worth to things that were never designed to hold it, the game changes completely. You are no longer a piece being moved by forces outside yourself. You are the player, calm, clear-eyed, and free. The most powerful thing you can do today is not louder, faster, or harder. It is this: pause, get quiet, and ask yourself what you haven't been willing to look at, what emotional pattern keeps repeating, what trigger keeps surfacing, what part of you is still waiting to be acknowledged rather than silenced. Because the untouchable mind is not built through avoidance. It is built through the courageous, methodical, deeply honest work of knowing yourself so completely that the world simply runs out of ways to reach you. That is not detachment. That is the deepest form of freedom available to a human being. Drop the word unshakable below if this reached something real in you. Your inner work begins now.